Hello everyone, I am Surrendalot the Awesome, and I am back, and I'm ready to look at some more r/StuffMomGroupsSay. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my cat will convince you. And, random fact about my cat society is that their pizza shops don't sell pizza, they sell tires. Without further ado, let's get into this. So this first post here says, yeah, your marriage is tanked. And this person here says, hey there, I need some serious advice please. My family dynamic for context. Husband, wife, myself, 9-month-old bio son, 15-year-old stepson. Stepson is at our house every other weekend and 2 weeknights. About a week after I given birth to my son around 9 months ago, I was home alone with my stepson. He hadn't come out of his room for a very long time, in which the era of social media and video games isn't super abnormal for a teenager. I started to get worried when I was knocking on his bedroom door with some lunch for him, and he wouldn't come to the door. The door handle was locked, and he wasn't answering no matter how loudly I knocked or called him. About 30 minutes after of no response, I started to panic. I went and got one of my husband's screwdrivers and took his door handle off. I mean, I'm gonna say this here. I kinda can see where this person is coming from. Anyways, this person goes on to say, when I finally got inside the room, it was dark and smelly and he was laying in his bed unresponsive. I shook him in a panic and he just flopped. Come to find out, after I started dialing 911 sobbing for help, he was completely fine. He had just gotten so high he couldn't respond and was absolutely zonked out of his mind. I was completely hysterical because I have a 1-week-old baby and I was completely sleep deprived. I mean, okay, I'm gonna say I kind of am starting to side with this person. Anyways, this person goes on to say, I called my husband and he came home from work. Now, to me, catching a 14-year-old, at the time, getting high on drugs in his bedroom is an earth-shattering deal. I mean, he really should not be having those drugs. Anyways, this person goes on to say, what did my husband do? Give him a talking to. That's it. This child took full advantage of me being 1 week postpartum and delirious and locked himself in his bedroom to get high. 14 years old. I mean, you really should not be having access to that, but anyways, this person goes on to say, when I couldn't get into his room, I was terrified he was dead, and what did my husband do? Give him a stern talking to, and at the end, they laughed and roughhoused. I was livid. I couldn't believe my husband was taking such a lax approach as a parent. I confronted him privately about his lack of response to the situation, and he assured me that it was just a one-time mistake, that it was normal for a teenager, agree to disagree, and that my stepson had given him his word that it would never happen again and that he didn't even like the drugs. Over the next few months, I noticed some concerns with my stepson, particularly whenever my husband wasn't around. It was very apparent to me that he was still using drugs. I brought this to my husband's attention and encouraged him to discuss the problem with his ex so that way they could come up with a game plan, because if he was doing it at our house, there was no doubt he was also doing it at his mom's as well. Okay, I am gonna tell you this. You maybe should come up with some hard evidence, or maybe you should get some hard evidence as to maybe help prove, or maybe, possibly, to maybe make your accusation have a bit more weight to it, and maybe hold a bit more water. Anyways, this person goes on to say, this accusation enraged my husband. He swore up and down my stepson had given his word that he would never do it again. I told him point blank that he was lying to him and that it was very serious. He decided to confront my stepson, who of course denied it all and called me a liar. I told my husband to drug test him instead of taking my word for it, but he refused because in his mind that would be a violation of the trust between him and his son, and he had no reason to doubt him. I told him that he was blind to it, and he accused me of being an evil stepmother out to get my stepson. Okay, again, maybe it would probably be better to possibly get some hard evidence to possibly point to maybe he's still doing drugs, because yes, you coming at him like that kind of does make you seem like, yeah, you're out to get him. Anyways, this person goes on to say, it caused us to have the biggest fight we ever had. It was weeks of fighting and tension every single day. I cried myself to sleep multiple nights, and even went so far as to apply for a place to live for my baby son and I. The word divorce was even thrown around in a very serious way. He called me every name in the book and put his son on this untouchable pedestal. He said I was a terrible stepmother and that I would never treat my own son this way. I told him, you're right, my son would actually be disciplined properly and not just talked to. Okay, again, maybe you need to get some hard evidence before you start throwing around accusations like that. Anyways, this person here goes on to say, I told him that I was done doing everything for my stepson if he was going to call me a liar and my husband was going to call me evil. I told him point blank, I am not going to be cooking my stepson's favorite meals anymore. No more catering to him. Now he has to eat the meals everyone else is eating. I was no longer going to wash his laundry, clean his room, or drive him and his friends and girlfriend around. I was no longer going to buy and wrap all the Christmas gifts, Easter baskets, and that from now on, they could bake their own trays of baked goods for all the sporting events. I was taking the nacho step-parent approach and backing off completely. If they, my husband and stepson, were going to treat me that way, I wasn't going to bend over backwards for them anymore. I told them my boundaries, and as you can imagine, he flipped out on me. Okay. Again, I think you're maybe going a bit too far. And again, you're doing it off of something that you really don't have any evidence for other than just a feeling. And I think you maybe need to cool your jets and maybe, possibly, take your husband's word for it. And also, again, he's an adolescent. He's going through a lot of changes. So, anyways, this person goes on to say, I didn't care. I held to them. When my stepson would get irritated that I no longer kept his favorite snacks and sodas stocked, I told him to go get a job or save some of the money he is using for the drugs I know he is doing and buy his own snacks. Again, you're making an accusation with no proof, and you kind of are, again, going way overboard. Anyways, this person goes on to say, this enraged my husband, and he reiterated that I was evil and had it out for my stepson, who was innocent and not using any drugs. I was apparently punishing him for something he wasn't doing, at least according to him. I ignored the hate spewed at me and held my strong line in the sand. I had also promised my stepson a few years ago he could have my old car, a 2013 Camry, if he kept his grades up. Once he got his permit, he came to me saying he was ready for it. I laughed and asked him how he expected me to turn over a car when he was failing all of his classes and calling me a liar. He got angry and quiet. I then told him I was adding another stipulation to the car by passing all of your classes and being able to pass a drug test. Again, you're going way overboard. Anyways, this person goes on to say, he went to his bedroom and slammed the door and raged. I didn't care. I held my ground. Okay, you could really, maybe, I don't know, compromise a bit. You're going way overboard on this. Anyways, this person here goes on to say, now this meant that my husband was the one who was responsible for all the things I mentioned I did for them, and more. What do you know? Within a month of him doing this, he found drugs in my stepson's room while he was cleaning. He immediately came to me, absolutely devastated, and apologized. He said he couldn't believe his son could betray him this way. I could, and that he was sorry for not only thinking that I was lying, but for the myriad of horrendous and hateful things he said to me. That I appreciated his apology, and he got on the phone with his ex and let her know what he had uncovered. They spoke for a while and agreed no Xbox at either house for a month. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Yeah, again, I still think that maybe you could have probably, I don't know, had proof of this before you made an accusation like that. That could have maybe made you seem a little less, insane. Anyways, this person goes on to say, now that my husband has apologized to me fully, he expected for me to resume my role as it was prior to all this happening. I said no. I am taking the nacho approach and want to be left out of anything pertaining to his son apart from just living normally together. I told him if I wasn't going to be treated like a parent, I wasn't going to bear the responsibilities of one. I was glad he knew the truth and he had apologized, but I have no desire to return to how it was. I don't trust my stepson at all and have no desire to bend over backwards for him anymore or be parental towards him when it's met with aggression. My husband is besides himself because he thinks I am holding a grudge and our family dynamic is forever ruined. Well, I think it was kinda ruined when it turns out that the stepson lied. Anyways, this person goes on to say, he can let my stepson lie to him and walk all over him, but I don't have to. He can cater to my stepson despite his behavior, but I don't have to. I will be sweet, supportive, and pleasant, but never again will I be his mom. So as of right now, we are at a fork in the road. My husband is upset and frustrated that I want to continue taking the nacho approach with my stepson from here on out because it was a major inconvenience for both him and my stepson. Well, I think maybe they can learn the responsibilities. I don't care, to be honest. I want to focus on my own son and his upbringing and have a happy marriage somehow. Yeah, I don't really think that that's gonna be happening, my friend. No offense. And I'm gonna give the husband a 45 out of 50, and I'm gonna give the mom probably a 30 out of 50. I think her response after the stepson was caught the first time was a bit overboard, but I do think that, yeah, she is right to stand up for herself and say that, yeah, no, you can learn this stuff. And I think with that, that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.